At age 21, they put me in Playboy magazine. I was the Boston Bunny of the Year. In order to protect our identities, we changed our first names. I was Tony Consalvi, a name I took from my then boyfriend Tony. The I at the end made it more female. They put just one photo of me in Playboy there among all the other regional bunnies. But that one photo captured the magazine founder, Hugh Hefner's attention because sometime in January of 1976, I got the call from his secretary. Dale, Mr. Hefner wants you to come to Los Angeles to get shot for the centerfold. In addition, you will be moved into the mansion and be the Playboy Valentine's bunny at the front door who would greet all the guests at the mansion's legendary Valentine's Day party. Is that okay? Was that okay? More than okay. It was a dream come true for me. On February 3rd, 1976, I left Boston 7 days before my scheduled appointment with Hef. That way we could make it on time. The we were Charmaine and Casey, two other bunnies from the Boston Playboy Club. We jumped into my 1969 navy blue Pontiac Firebird ragtop with bucket seats, and we were off. The car had a slick black interior and a 5-speed shift. The Firebird had a cassette tape player, but we only had one cassette tape with us. It was the Silk Degrees album by Boz Scaggs. We listened to it back to back for the whole trip west. On the floor in the back seat, I had a shoebox full of cash. I'm not sure how much money I had in there, maybe a couple of $1,000, but that sure seemed like a ton of money at the time. It seemed like $1 million. We were driving with the top down across America. Whenever we needed money for gas or snacks or hot dogs or whatever, I would just jump in the back seat and grab the cash. There was no fear of things going wrong. I was on my pleasure trip to meet my hero of the whole feminist environment. I was going to capture his attention. I was going to capture Hefner in my butterfly net. The first rest stop was New York. Charmaine had an uncle there, and we knew we could rest for the night. I remember the place was in an upscale neighborhood in Manhattan. As we knocked on the fine carved doors of this fancy brownstone, I wondered what Charmaine's uncle would be like. I envisioned some cool, chic hipster, perhaps a Wall Street broker or an art dealer. The door opened to reveal the truth. There stood before us 3 ragtag Playboy bunnies who were barely dressed, was a priest. "Hello, Uncle," Charmaine said, throwing her arms around the tiny priest who hugged her back. Just then, a second priest popped up in the threshold. I turned a shade of turquoise seeing the two of them. They welcomed us in. The place was decked out in God and goth. The walls were decorated with pictures of God and Jesus and Mother Mary. Crucifixes hung on most walls. The place looked like a Catholic church inside this brownstone apartment. The 2 priests slept side by side in a twin bed. There was a kitchen and a bathroom and the smallest of living rooms. They didn't have any place for us to sleep. We had to cozy up on half the couch and half the chair on the floor. We had to pray with the priest when we went to sleep that night. It was a very awkward situation. No party tonight, lights out at 9 p.m. And we were told to pray again the next morning. I told Charmaine that morning we should cut it quick and get going because we didn't have any time to waste. The next day, we drove all day as fast as we could. The 2 girls were in the back seat with bikinis on, nothing else. This caused many a trucker to lose control and almost crash into us. Bunnies in bikinis on the open road. The truckers must have thought they were dreaming or hallucinating. I said to Charmaine and Casey, "What are you guys doing? You're going to get in trouble or cause an accident." They said, "Dale, we got to get a suntan before we get to California." I knew bikinis on the open road spelled danger. Suddenly, I was the practical one, of all people. I decided we needed to take a break and stop at a hotel so the girls could safely suntan by the hotel pool. We checked into a plain little place and spent the day by the pool in our bathing suits. It was all great. We were drinking Coca-Colas and having a fantastic time, the dictionary definition of carefree. As the sun started to set, we all went into our room with double bed and a pull-out couch to take our showers. Charmaine went first. I remember sitting on the bed, watching TV as I called my mother back home to tell her everything was going well. Yeah, Mom, it's great. We are safe. Suddenly, Charmaine started screaming in the shower at the top of her lungs. My mom could hear the screams over the phone. Dale, are you sure you're all right? She asked. I assured her it was just the TV and hung up quickly before running into the bathroom. When I entered the bathroom, I yelled, "What happened?" Charmaine, who was now standing outside the shower, frantic and clutching at a towel. She was screaming, "Look, look!" I turned off the water and stepped into the shower where I could see there was a hole in the shower wall, and I could see somebody's eye in the hole staring back at me. I said, "I'm going to fucking kill this person." I ran out of the hotel room, down the hall, out the front of the hotel, around the side of the place, and down the alley where I saw this kid on a ladder. I said, "What are you doing, you son of a bitch?" He sheepishly climbed down the ladder, and as he reached the bottom, I could see he was just a young kid, maybe 12 years old. We were in the middle of Ohio. I said, "What are you doing? I should take you by the collar and smack you." He immediately starts to cry. "I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. My parents own the hotel. Please don't get me in trouble." I yelled at him pretty good. I told him I wouldn't get him in trouble, but that the girls and I were getting the fuck out of there. I felt bad because he was such a young fellow. I ran back in and told Charmaine to get it together, and we were going to move on. We hit the road again, continuing across the country. We stopped to sleep in a few places like Vegas. I remember it was loud and bright and exciting, but we didn't really have time to explore Sin City. It was just a pit stop. I wasn't about to let anything delay my mission. We just crashed out there overnight in one of the luxury hotel casinos and got up early the next morning for the final stretch of road between Vegas and my dream come true. We arrived in Los Angeles the day before my appointment with Hefner and went to Pasadena to Charmaine's uncle's house. Pasadena was sleepy and suburban, a lot like Medford, only with non-stop sunshine and palm trees. Later that day, we headed to Hollywood to see my old friend Greg Chansky. It was hard to believe I was now in the pace I had dreamt of for so long, and that Chanksy, my co-conspirator from the ice cream truck days, also lived here. He showed us around his place, a cool apartment to be sure. The three of us crashed with him that night. Most have been a dream come true to have a trio of Playboy bunnies sleep over your house. As I was drifting to sleep, Chansky told me if I needed him for anything the next day, he would be at a place called SIR Studios. It was a legendary rehearsal space in the center of Hollywood where all the big stars rehearsed. I didn't even bother to take down the address to the place. I told him, "No need. I'm moving into the mansion tomorrow." I was that convinced everything was going to go according to plan. Hef, or rather fate, had other plans.